Hi there, boys and girls. Mr. Wiseman coming to you from, well, actually in the principal's office today. Frog and Toad are friends. I'm going to read our third story from this book. It's a lost button. So sit back, get your listening ears on, and, well, just enjoy it. Toad and Frog went for a long walk. They walked across a large meadow. They walked in the woods. They walked along the river. At last, they went back home, to Toad's house. "Oh, drat," said Toad. "Not only do my feet hurt, but I have lost one of the buttons on my jacket." What are they going to do? "Don't worry," said Frog. "We will go back to all the places where we walked. We will soon find your button." They walked back to the large meadow. They began to look for the button in the tall grass. "Here is your button," cried Frog. "That is not my button," said Toad. "That button is black. My button was white." Toad put the black button in his pocket. A sparrow flew by. "Excuse me," said the sparrow. "Did you lose a button? I found one." "That is not my button," said Toad. "That button has 2 holes. My button had 4 holes." Toad put the button with 2 holes in his pocket. They went back to the woods and looked on the dark paths. "Here is your button," said Frog. "That is not my button," cried Toad. "That button is small. My button was big." Toad put the small button in his pocket. Do you think they're going to find it? A raccoon came out from behind a tree. "I heard you were looking for a button," he said. "Here is one that I just found." "That is not my button," wailed Toad. "That button is square. My button was round." Toad put the square button in his pocket. I'm thinking Toad needs to take a belly breath because he's getting frustrated. Frog and Toad went back to the river. They looked for the button in the mud. "Here is your button," said Frog. "That is not my button," shouted Toad. "That button is thin. My button was thick." He's yelling at Frog and he's just trying to help. That's not a win-win. Toad put the thin button in his pocket. He was very angry. He jumped up and down and screamed. "The whole world is covered with buttons, and not one of them is mine." He needs to take a belly breath and smile. Toad ran home and slammed the door. There on the floor, he saw his white, 4-holed, big, round, thick button. "Oh," said Toad, "it was here all the time. What a lot of trouble I have made for Frog." Well, he yelled at his best friend. What is he going to do to make it up to him? Toad took all the buttons out of his pocket. He took his sewing box down from the shelf. Toad sewed the buttons all over his jacket. The next day, Toad gave his jacket to Frog. That's a win-win. Frog thought that it was beautiful. He put it on and jumped for joy. None of the buttons fell off. Toad had sewed them on very well. So Toad did a lose-lose and yelled at his best friend, but he made it up to him by giving him a gift. So that was a win-win. Alright, well, next time we'll read A Swim from Frog and Toad, our friends. I hope you enjoyed our story. See you next time.